I woke up from a 9-year coma and realized my family didn't want me to. I remember the light first. Not pain, not voices, just this strange, flickering haze, soft and white, like the world itself was still loading in around me. My eyes were dry, my mouth even worse. It felt like I'd swallowed a desert and left my soul somewhere behind. Then sound trickled in. Beeping. Steady, distant, a monitor. A low hum. Air conditioning, maybe. A door creaking open. And then a voice. Oh my God, he's awake. There was no joy in it. Just shock. Like someone found a ghost where they'd buried a body years ago. I tried to speak, but my throat locked up. Muscles I didn't even know could hurt screamed in protest. I think I moved my fingers. Or maybe I dreamed that part. Then everything faded again. The second time I woke, the room was brighter. My head pounded. My tongue still felt like sandpaper. But this time, I saw the ceiling tiles. Yellowed at the corners. One had a crack running through it like a vein. I blinked. Once. Twice. Then came the first voice I actually recognized. Hey, he's looking at me. I think, yeah, I think he knows me. My brother. Jamie. He sounded nervous. Not relieved. Like he'd just accidentally triggered something he wasn't ready to face. That was the moment everything changed. Because for a second, just one terrifying second, I felt it. That this wasn't some miraculous recovery. No, I was a problem. The doctors came in. White coats, clipboards, cautious words. There were a lot of phrases I didn't understand: post-coma cognition, neuroplasticity, temporal disorientation. I didn't care. I just wanted to know one thing. How long was I out? I croaked. They hesitated. Jamie didn't. 9 years, he said too quickly. 9. I thought he was joking. I blinked again, trying to process it. My head couldn't wrap around the number. What even is 9 years when your last memory is a midnight drive in the rain and a song playing on the radio? What happened? I rasped. Jamie looked away. No one knows for sure, he muttered. Car accident. Brain trauma. But you made it, man. You made it back. He smiled. But his eyes didn't. The next few days blurred. Physical therapy. Scans. More doctors. My body was barely mine. Atrophied muscles, trembling limbs, a voice that cracked like I was 13 again. And then the visit started. First, my mother. She looked older, obviously. But not just older, heavier. Softer. Like life had worn her down, but also given her permission to forget me. She didn't cry when she saw me. Not even a tear. She stood there, clutching her purse like it was armor, and said, "We never thought this day would come." That was it. No hug. No rush to my side. No whispered, "My boy, my baby, thank God you're back." Just that one, emotionless sentence. I asked about Dad. She didn't answer. Just stared at the floor. Later, a nurse told me he'd passed. Heart attack, 5 years ago. No one told me sooner. No one thought I needed to know. I started asking more questions. Where was my girlfriend? Alyssa? Jamie hesitated. She moved on, he said. I waited for him to add, but she visited you every week, or she held your hand in the hospital. Anything. But there was nothing. Just, she moved on. Did she ever come? Jamie ran a hand through his hair. Look, man, it's complicated, okay? You've been gone a long time. That's what everyone kept saying. Gone. Like I'd taken a vacation. It took me 2 weeks to realize they'd sold my house. My name was still on some legal documents, but the place I'd lived, the home I'd built from scratch, was just gone. Had to, Jamie said with a shrug. Bills don't stop, man. And hospitals aren't free. I asked about my savings. He deflected. I asked again. That's when he snapped. Jesus, Nate. Do you have any idea what it's been like for us? Keeping you on life support for 9 freaking years? We did what we had to do. We. He kept saying we. But the more I listened, the more it sounded like I. The final straw came when I asked to see my laptop. It should have been simple. It was in storage, right? He paused. Then, it broke. That's what he said. It broke. Just like that. 9 years of photos, documents, emails, memories, all broken. And yet, every time I asked questions, they danced around the answers. Every time I tried to remember something, it was like they hoped I wouldn't. That's when the dreams started. Broken glass. Screeching tires. Screams that weren't mine. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, and every time, someone would be there. A nurse, Jamie, even Mom, telling me it was just a nightmare. But deep down, I knew better. Those weren't dreams. They were memories. and someone was trying to keep them buried. But here's the thing about waking up after 9 years. You come back with holes in your story, and everyone else has had nearly a decade to fill them in however they want. But they made one mistake. They didn't expect me to remember. They didn't expect me to start asking the right questions. And they sure as hell didn't expect me to find that hidden envelope tucked inside Jamie's old jacket. The one with my name on it. The one dated 7 years ago. The one that started it all. It was jammed inside the lining. Tucked so deep it must have ripped through at some point, caught between the stitching and the pocket seam. I found it by accident. Jamie had dropped his coat on the chair by my bed. Same one he always wore, faded green with a torn cuff. I was cold. The nurse wasn't around, so I reached for it. And there it was. A thick, yellowed envelope. Bent at the edges. Sealed, but barely. No return address. Just one line written across the front in shaky, blue ink. Nathan, in case he wakes up. My name. Not to Jamie. Not do not open. Just my name. I felt the world tilt. I looked over my shoulder. The room was empty. No footsteps in the hallway. No buzzing machines. Just the slow, constant beep of my own heart. I slid my finger under the flap and broke the seal. Inside was a letter. 3 pages. Handwritten. No greeting. No date. Just the words. If you're reading this, it means everything has gone wrong. My hands trembled. I read on. You weren't supposed to make it. They were going to let you go. Quietly. Without a fuss. That was the plan. The DNR was ready. Jamie signed off. Your mother didn't argue. I stopped breathing. But then the lawyer got involved. The insurance flagged something. Your living will wasn't clear. So they kept you on life support, not out of love. Out of fear. I felt the air shift in the room, like the walls knew what I was reading. They were scared you'd wake up and remember. About Alyssa. About the accounts. About what Jamie did. Every word hit like a punch to the ribs. I scanned the bottom of the first page. No name. No signature. Just the slow fade of ink, like the writer ran out of time or courage. I turned to page 2. They've taken everything. Sold your house. Liquidated your stocks. Told everyone you were fading, when in truth, you were stable. For years. Years. Not months. Years. I couldn't stop shaking. The letter continued. Jamie used your power of attorney. Said you'd want him to. Said you'd trust him. He said Alyssa was grieving. Said she needed comfort. But it wasn't grief. It was guilt. I paused. My heart felt like it had stopped mid-beat. Guilt? What the hell did she have to feel guilty about? My memory scrambled to catch up. But it was like reaching for smoke. They lied to you. Lied to everyone. And when the doctors said there was a chance, even a small one, they panicked. Because if you came back, it all unraveled. The door creaked. I folded the letter fast, slid it into my pillowcase. Jamie walked in with a plastic cup of orange juice like nothing had happened. Feeling better today? He asked. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Later that night, I waited until the hallway went dark. Until I heard the shift change at the nurse's station. Then I pulled the letter back out. 3rd page. Final words. If you wake up, play dumb. Don't let them know you remember. Not yet. Not until you know who else is involved. There was a postscript. One tiny line scribbled at the bottom corner. Ask about July 14th. That was it. No signature. No clue who wrote it. Just July 14th. That night, I barely slept. I kept turning the date over in my head. What happened that day? Why would it matter? Was it my accident? No, mine happened in November. That much I was sure of. So what the hell happened on July 14th? The next morning, I asked Jamie. I kept my voice casual. Hey, was there something important about July 14th? It's just stuck in my head for some reason. He froze. Just for a second. Blinked. Then cleared his throat. No clue, man. Probably just brain static. Those wires in your head are still reconnecting. He smiled again. But that time, it looked scared. I let it go. Or at least, pretended to. But now I had a target. Something to dig into. The hardest part? I still didn't have access to a phone. Or a computer. They said they were easing me in. Letting me heal before overstimulation. Bullshit. They were controlling what I saw. What I knew. What I remembered. But they couldn't control the nurses. One of them, Alex, seemed different. You can tell when someone's lying to you, and when someone's tired of lying for other people. She caught me reading the letter one night, or at least, part of it. I panicked, tried to hide it, but she just said, "You're not crazy." Then walked out. Didn't ask questions. Didn't alert anyone. Just left me sitting there, stunned. 2 days later, she came back with something hidden under the food tray. A flip phone. Old. Basic. No tracking. Just calls and text. No internet, she whispered. But you can call 411. I stared at her. Why are you helping me? Alex didn't flinch. Because you shouldn't still be here. Then she walked away. That night, I used the phone to call an old high school friend. It was a long shot. I hadn't spoken to him in over a decade. But if anyone remembered July 14th, it would be him. He answered on the third ring. Hello. Ben, I whispered. It's Nate. Silence. Then no way. Dude. Are you okay? What the hell? Ben. Do you remember what happened on July 14th? More silence. Yeah, he said finally. How could I forget? I held my breath. You were supposed to get married that day. I didn't respond. Couldn't. Ben kept going. You and Alyssa. But she canceled the wedding the week before. Whole thing went up in flames. You disappeared for 2 days. Then. He stopped. Then what? You crashed your car? 2 nights after. I swallowed hard. What happened before that? I asked. His voice dropped. You found out something. I don't know what. But whatever it was, it broke you. My head spun. Memories flickered. Alyssa in a white dress. A storm. Screaming. My hands on a steering wheel. And then, the flash of another man's face. Familiar. But not mine. Suddenly, the hospital room felt too small. Too bright. Too fake. And for the first time since I'd woken up, I realized. I didn't fall into a coma by accident. Someone made sure I wouldn't wake up. And now that I had, someone was going to try to fix that mistake. Permanently. I couldn't breathe. Ben's voice kept echoing in my ear, but the words were just noise. She canceled the wedding. She wore the dress. But not for me. That was the first real memory that slammed into me. Not a flash, not a feeling. A moment. A picture in my head, clear as glass. Alyssa, standing at the top of a staircase, veil lifted, eyes locked with mine. But not in love. In panic. And next to her, someone else. Someone I knew. I dropped the phone. It clattered on the floor. My hands were shaking so bad I couldn't even pick it up again. A nurse walked in, paused at the sight of me on the edge of the bed, barely holding it together. You okay? She asked. I nodded. Too fast. She didn't believe me. But she didn't press either. Just adjusted the 4-line and left without a word. I waited until her footsteps vanished before grabbing the phone again. My fingers fumbled over the keys as I typed a name I hadn't said out loud since I woke up. Alyssa Harper. Directory assistants had nothing. No phone number. No listing. She'd vanished. Or been erased. I knew I couldn't trust Jamie. That was clear. But there was one more person I hadn't considered yet. Dad's lawyer. He'd handled the estate, the house, the power of attorney, everything. If anyone knew what was signed, what had changed, it was him. His name slammed into my head like a brick. Ronald Keaton. I remembered him at the funeral. I didn't remember the funeral, but I remembered him. Tall. Thin. Glasses that never quite sat right on his nose. And the way he looked at me, back then, like I was already gone. I dialed the operator again. Bingo. Keaton Law and Associates. It rang 6 times before someone picked up. Keaton Law. Hi. I said, keeping my voice low, steady. I'm trying to reach Ronald Keaton. It's urgent. Pause. Who's calling? Tell him. Nathan Doyle. Another pause. Then silence. I thought the line had gone dead, until I heard a click. Then a voice. Low. Older. Cold. Nathan, he said. No question. Just acknowledgement. You're not supposed to be calling me. My pulse jumped. You remember me? Of course I do. You've caused quite a stir, waking up. He sounded annoyed. Not surprised. Not relieved. Annoyed. What happened to my accounts? I asked. He sighed. You gave Jamie control. That's all I can say. I didn't. You did, he said. Legally. Signed and notarized. I was unconscious. Another pause. Exactly, he said. And just like that, he hung up. I sat in silence for what felt like hours. He knew. He knew everything. And he didn't care. Which meant the paper trail, if it existed, was buried deep. Too deep for me to reach from a hospital bed. But there had to be another way. There always is. Especially when someone gets sloppy. Alex slipped me a granola bar that night. I hadn't asked. She just knew. I need another favor, I whispered. Big one. She looked tired. But curious. I need someone to look up a wedding. July 14th, 9 years ago. Me and Alyssa Harper. Her eyes widened a little, but she nodded. Leave it with me. The next night, she came back with an old flash drive. She didn't say anything, just handed it over, tucked under a folded napkin on my tray. Inside were two files. One was a scanned image, a wedding invitation. Simple, white, elegant. Nathan Doyle and Alyssa Harper. July 14th, 3 p.m. The Langford Estate. Formal attire. No gifts. Presents only. And then, the second file. A news clipping. Not a big article. Just a small blurb in a local society column. Harper family celebrates surprise ceremony. No names. No photos. Just, the bride looked radiant in a lace-back gown, surrounded by an intimate group of close friends and family. Though the details remain private, sources confirm it was not the originally scheduled wedding. Not the wedding. Not our wedding. Her dress wasn't wasted after all. Just repurposed. My stomach churned. That moment in the stairwell, it came back in full force. Alyssa in that dress. Her lips trembling. Eyes darting between me and someone else. Someone standing behind her. Jamie. My brother. My best man. My betrayer. I nearly threw the tray off the table. I wanted to scream. To rip the IVs out of my arms and run. To punch through a window and collapse on the floor. But I couldn't. Not yet. So I did the only thing I could. I waited. Jamie showed up the next morning like clockwork. Like he hadn't gutted me and set the house on fire. "How's the head, man?" he asked, sitting in the chair like it belonged to him. "They say you might be out soon. We'll get you back to real food in no time." I watched him carefully. "Do you ever think about her?" I asked. He blinked. "Who?" "Alyssa." That name used to light him up. He couldn't hide it. "Not this time." "She's wherever she is," he said. "It was a long time ago, Nate. Let it go." "I can't." "Well," he said, standing. "Then maybe you shouldn't have gone and crashed your car." That stopped me cold. "I never told anyone how it happened," I said slowly. "Not even the doctors." Jamie froze mid-step. "Yeah," he said too fast. "I mean, everyone assumed." "No, they didn't." His eyes narrowed. "You need rest," he muttered. "We'll talk later." He left without looking back. As soon as he was gone, I checked the back of the flash drive. Alex had scribbled one more thing on the label. A name. Dr. Penner. And a number. No area code. No title. Just that name, underlined twice. Something about it made my skin crawl. Because suddenly, I remembered it. He wasn't my neurologist. He wasn't even at the hospital. Dr. Penner wasn't there to heal me. He was there to keep me under. And someone had paid him very, very well to make sure I never woke up. I picked up the phone and dialed the number. 4. Part 4. The doctor who was supposed to save me was the one paid to keep me silent. The line rang once, twice, 3 times. Then a voice, dry and clipped. "This is Penner." I didn't speak at first. Just listened to the background. No hospital sounds, no machines, no patients. Just silence. Then I said it. "This is Nathan Doyle." Silence. Click. He hung up. I stared at the phone in my hand, heart pounding, jaw locked. He recognized my name. He panicked. And that told me more than any medical file ever could. I called back. Straight to voicemail. No greeting. Just the automated voice asking me to leave a message. So I did. "You don't get to disappear, doctor," I said quietly. "You kept me in that bed. I'm awake now. And I remember more every day. Next time, I won't be calling. I'll be coming." I didn't mean it to sound like a threat. But maybe it was. Maybe it had to be. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over every second of that call, every syllable of his voice, every tremble in mine. Why would a licensed doctor participate in something like this? Why me? Why them? And then it hit me. Money. Always money. Because the person I was before the coma wasn't broke. I wasn't just some guy with a house and a job. I had assets, investments, patents, a small tech firm I'd sold a year before the crash. Jamie never cared much about it. Until I got the check. Until the company paid out and my net worth hit 7 digits. They all smiled when it happened. Mom hugged me like she was proud. Jamie gave me a bottle of whiskey with a smirk and a pat on the back. But now I saw it. That smile? It was calculation, not celebration. The next morning, I asked Alex for another favor. "I need a copy of my medical records," I whispered. She hesitated. "That's not easy. Can you get them?" "I'll try," she said, glancing toward the hallway. "But if anyone finds out." "They won't," I promised. "Please." She nodded once, then disappeared. Jamie didn't show that day. Neither did Mom. Good. I wasn't in the mood to fake anything. I spent hours just lying there, staring at the ceiling, letting the memories play like film reels across my eyes. The wedding, the storm, Alyssa's eyes, and that one face, the man I saw in my dream, the one with the pale hands and the scar above his lip. Not Jamie, not Penner, someone else, someone watching. Alex returned late that night, long after shift change. She slid a file folder under my pillow without saying a word, then walked out. I waited 15 minutes, counted every second, then opened it. It wasn't everything, but it was enough. Dates, notes, treatment plans, and then, the thing that stopped my heart. Anesthesia protocol, extended induction. Attending, Dr. Penner. Initiated, July 16th. Maintained, ongoing. Review authority, J. Doyle. Jamie. Jamie signed off on keeping me under, not because it was medically necessary, but because it was authorized. He used his power of attorney, the one he got when I couldn't say no, to keep me sedated. Not just asleep, locked inside. For years, I couldn't cry. I was too angry. My own brother drugged me for almost a decade to steal my life. But what tore me up most? It meant someone, maybe everyone, knew I was aware. That I wasn't brain dead. That I was there, trapped in silence. And they kept me that way anyway. I didn't sleep at all. The next day, I asked Alex for one last thing. I need to leave. She blinked. They're discharging you next week. No, I said. I need to leave now, before they realize what I've found. She shook her head. That's not how this works. Alex, I interrupted, my voice shaking. Please. If I stay here, they'll find a way to put me back under. Or worse. She looked at me. Really looked at me. Then she whispered, I might know someone. That evening, I got a visit from a guy named Rich. Former EMT. Looked like a mechanic who moonlighted as a linebacker. No badge. No paperwork. Just a duffel bag and a fake smile. You're the escapee? He asked, pulling the curtain shut behind him. I'm the prisoner, I said. He smirked. Even better. In 10 minutes, he had the IVs out. In 15, I was in scrubs, hoodie, and a surgical mask. Rolled out through the staff entrance in a wheelchair like I was just another transfer. Alex walked beside us, silent. At the exit, she finally stopped. You won't be able to come back, she whispered. I'm not planning to, I said. She slipped something into my hand. A phone. Not a burner. A real one. It's clean, she said. GPS off. But encrypted. Use it only when you're safe. Why are you helping me? I asked again. This time, she didn't dodge. My brother was in a coma too, she said. He didn't wake up. Then she turned and walked away. Rich got me to a safe house. No windows. No neighbors. Just a single bedroom above an abandoned shop. It was perfect. For the first time in years, I wasn't wired to a machine. No cameras. No nurses. No silence I couldn't break. Just air. And fire in my veins. I plugged in the phone and started digging. I didn't need to search for Alyssa. I needed to search for transactions. Bank records. Wire transfers. Anything under Jamie's name. Or Penner's. What I found made me sick. Over the course of 4 years, Jamie received regular deposits. Every 6 months. From a shell company called Evora Consulting. Same company sent money to Penner. Same company bought my house. Same company hired the lawyer. Evora wasn't a consulting firm. It was a front. For something, or someone, much bigger. Someone who wanted me gone. Someone who wasn't Jamie, but used him like a puppet. And I finally found the name behind it. Buried in a board filing. D. Harper. Harper. Alyssa's father. Dead for years, supposedly. But this filing? It was recent. Signed only 6 months ago. And suddenly, everything snapped into place. The canceled wedding. The silent estate. The missing bride. And the man behind it all. Wasn't my brother. It was my would-be father-in-law. A man who vanished before my accident. And now, he was back. Pulling strings. And erasing lives. Mine was just the first. I sat there for hours, just staring at the name. D. Harper. Not a coincidence. Not some stranger. Douglas Harper. Alyssa's father. He was supposed to be gone. Cancer, they said. Years ago. Closed casket funeral, I remembered. Alyssa didn't even speak at the service. Just cried quietly, her mother beside her, clutching tissues like rosary beads. But now here he was. Alive. Hiding behind corporations. Using aliases, shells, money trails so complex they'd make a banker sweat. And he bought my house. The house I built. The house I wired. The house where I carved Alyssa's name into the old oak beam above the stairs. He didn't just want me gone. He wanted to be me. I printed the board filing Alex's phone had pulled. It wasn't much, just the name, the date, and a vague company structure. But it had an address. Somewhere upstate. 2 hours north. A gated estate near the woods. I knew the town. I'd been there once. With Alyssa. She said she hated it. Too quiet, too cold, too rich. But maybe that was the plan all along. I needed to know. Not just where she was, but what she knew. Because somewhere in my gut, I didn't believe she was just a pawn. Not anymore. The next day, I asked Rich for a car. He handed me keys without asking a thing. You heading out? He asked. I nodded. Alone? I have to. He shrugged. If you're not back in 3 days, I'll assume you got what you came for, or didn't make it. Fair enough. I drove most of the night. Roads were empty. Pines on either side like prison bars. The GPS screen stayed dark. I wasn't risking any signals. But I followed the directions. Turn after turn. Until I saw it. The gates. Tall. Black. Unmarked. No name. No welcome sign. Just steel and silence. I parked down the hill and walked the rest of the way. Snow crunched underfoot. My breath fogged the air. Then a flicker. Light through the trees. Big house. Stone walls. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Not a fortress. Not quite. But not a home, either. Too perfect. Too cold. I crept closer. There were cameras on the corners, angled out. Not in. They weren't worried about inside. They were watching for me. I moved around the back. Garden path. Frozen pond. Empty swing set. And then, voices. Laughter. I crouched low behind a hedge. Through the window, I saw them. Alyssa. Her hair longer now, curled at the ends. Wearing a dark green sweater. A glass of wine in her hand. And next to her, Douglas Harper. Alive. Laughing. Gray at the temples, but unmistakable. And then, a boy. Maybe 4. Maybe 5. Blonde hair. Big eyes. My eyes. I stumbled back, almost slipped on the ice. They had a child. Was he mine? No, couldn't be. Could he? I stared again, desperate for a clue, some timeline, some thread to hold on to. But all I saw was a life. A full life. Built on the ashes of mine. I should have left. Should have turned around, vanished back into the night. But something pulled me forward. A fury I didn't recognize. Not rage. Violation. I circled around, found the garage entrance. No alarm. Just a simple keypad. And that's when instinct took over. I typed in the code I used on my old house. 0714, July 14th. The day everything ended. The keypad clicked. Green light. The door lifted. Inside, the same car. Alyssa's. White SUV. Same custom plate. LSSA 14. She hadn't even changed it. She hadn't needed to. Because I was gone. Legally. Emotionally. Historically. Just erased. I moved through the garage door into the house, slow and silent. Marble floors. Heated. Pictures on the hallway wall. Alyssa holding the boy. Douglas holding Alyssa. A wedding photo. Not of us. Of them. I stood there, staring at it, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would shatter my ribs. Alyssa in a lace gown. Different than ours. Simpler. Smaller. Douglas in a black suit. The same man who walked her down the aisle in my wedding plans, now standing beside her as the groom. I don't remember walking into the study, but I was there, hands moving through drawers, files, receipts. I found a lockbox. Inside, 2 passports. Alyssa Harper, Douglas Harper, and another name. Nathan Harper. The boy. They named him after me. Or as me. I heard the door creak open behind me. I turned slowly. Alyssa stood there. Frozen. Her wine glass slipped from her fingers. Shattered on the hardwood. Her eyes locked on mine. Color drained from her face. Nathan? Her voice cracked. I didn't speak. I couldn't. She staggered forward. Reached out like I was a ghost. We thought. I stepped back. You replaced me. She shook her head, tears forming instantly. No. You don't understand. I understand everything. She dropped to her knees, then whispered the one sentence that turned my blood to ice. They told me you were brain dead. I stared at her. Who told you? She hesitated, swallowed, then whispered. My father. Footsteps echoed behind her. Heavy, measured. Douglas Harper stepped into the room, and he was holding a gun. He didn't yell, didn't threaten, didn't even blink. Douglas Harper stood in the doorway like he owned the ground we stood on. one hand in the pocket of his tailored slacks, the other gripping a black pistol so casually, it may as well have been a TV remote. 9 years, he said calmly. You just couldn't stay asleep. Alyssa gasped and spun around. Dad, what are you doing? His eyes never left mine. It's all right, sweetheart. I'll handle it. Like I was some errand. Some leak to plug. Like I wasn't a person. I took one step back. Let me guess, I said, keeping my voice level. This is the part where you tell me it's not personal? He smiled. Just a flicker. Cold and humorless. Oh, it was always personal, Nathan. Alyssa turned back to me, her voice trembling. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know about the coma. He told me they pulled the plug. I grieved you, Nathan. You married the man who lied to you about it. I snapped. Her face twisted. He's my father. No, Douglas said sharply, stepping forward. I'm the man who saved her from you. That stopped me. He raised the gun. Not high, not aimed, just enough to make it real. She was going to throw her life away, he continued. For what? Some bleeding heart dreamer with a patent and a house full of bad wiring? You mean the house you now own? I shot back. He chuckled. I didn't plan to. But once you were out of the picture, the opportunity was too elegant to ignore. You put me in a coma. No, he said. You did that. You drove off that night. You crashed. No one touched your car. No one followed you. He leaned in, voice low. But when the hospital called and said you were in a vegetative state, that your power of attorney passed to your next of kin, that's when I stepped in. I felt the blood drain from my face. Jamie. He nodded. Your brother has very simple needs. Money. Validation. He doesn't ask questions. And the doctor? A referral, he said with a shrug. Medical ethics are more flexible than people think. All it takes is the right amount of incentive. I looked at Alyssa. Tears streamed down her cheeks now, makeup smudging under her eyes. He told me you were gone, she whispered. Said it was instant. I begged to see your body. He said you were already cremated. She started to collapse again, but I stepped forward and caught her. And for a moment, just a second, I remembered. The way she used to feel in my arms. The way she used to look at me. Like I was home. Not history. Douglas raised the gun higher. I can't let you leave here, he said softly. You already took everything, I growled. He didn't flinch. I protected what I built. This isn't protection, I snapped. This is theft. Fraud. You stole my life. He tilted his head. You were weak. Emotionally erratic. Self-righteous. And worst of all, you made Alyssa smaller when she should have been rising. Alyssa turned to him. What are you talking about? Douglas stepped forward. You wouldn't be the woman you are if you'd married him. I gave you a future. You lied to me. He looked hurt. Offended, even. I gave you everything. No, she said. Her voice cracked. You took everything from him. And you made me believe he was dead. That's when the boy appeared in the doorway. Small. Quiet. Confused. Mommy. Alyssa spun, gasped. No, Nathan, go back upstairs. Now. He looked at me. His eyes. My eyes. Who's that? He asked. Douglas lowered the gun immediately. Go, buddy, he said. It's just a grown-up talk. But the boy didn't move. He just kept staring at me. And in that moment, I knew. He wasn't mine. And that hurt even worse. Because I wanted him to be. Douglas took one step closer. I shifted in front of the child instinctively. That was the wrong move. Because now, the gun was up. Don't make this worse than it has to be, he said coldly. Alyssa lunged. No. The gun went off. The sound shattered the room. She hit his arm just in time. The shot missed, tearing through the bookshelf behind me. Papers exploded. Wood splintered. The boy screamed. I grabbed him, shielding him with my body as Alyssa struggled with her father. Douglas pushed her to the ground and raised the gun again. But I was already moving. I tackled him. We crashed into the desk, hard. The gun skittered across the floor. He punched me in the ribs, sharp and practiced. But I didn't care. I'd waited 9 years for this. I threw him into the wall. Felt something crack. He grabbed a lamp and swung it. Caught me on the shoulder. Pain exploded. I went down. He dove for the gun. But Alyssa kicked it away. He turned, snarling. You little traitor. Then she hit him. Hard. With the metal photo frame that once held their wedding picture. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. I grabbed the gun. Pointed it at him. He groaned, half-conscious. Alyssa stood beside me, clutching her arm. The boy cried in the hallway. Sirens wailed in the distance. I triggered a silent alarm when I came in. Good. Let them come. Let them see the monster for who he really was. Let the truth finally speak. But even as I stood there, gun in hand, blood in my mouth, heart racing, I knew this wasn't over. Because one man didn't pull this off alone. He had help, money, access, protection. And if he was still walking free after 9 years, it meant someone even higher was holding the strings. And I was about to pull the next thread and watch the whole damn web unravel. They cuffed him right there on the floor. Douglas Harper, limp and bloodied, his nose broken, still trying to spit threats between shallow breaths. The cops barely glanced at me, too focused on the high-profile man bleeding on imported marble. One of them recognized him, whispered something to his partner, and just like that, the tone shifted. They weren't here to rescue me. They were here because a rich man's home had been breached. Alyssa tried to explain. I stood back, silent, arms crossed, watching it play out like a movie I'd already seen. The officers took her statement, then pulled me aside. You have ID? One asked. I woke up from a coma a week ago, I said. I barely have shoes. He didn't smile. We're gonna need to take you in, just to sort things out. I glanced at Alyssa. She was crying again, but I couldn't tell if it was for me or for the mess. The holding cell was cold. Not jail, just local precinct. But still, steel bench, flickering light, no clock. I sat there for hours. Then someone opened the door. A man in a black coat. Sharp eyes. Clean shoes. Not a cop. Mr. Doyle, he said smoothly. You've had quite a week. Who are you? He smiled. Your advocate. I laughed once. I didn't call for one. No, he said. But someone did. He sat across from me, pulled out a folder. I work for a firm that manages inconvenient situations. Yours is both sensitive and public. We'd like to resolve this quickly. We? He didn't answer, just slid the folder across the table. Inside was a non-disclosure agreement. And a check. 8 figures. I stared at it. You want me to go away? We want you to start fresh, he said. Somewhere quiet. Comfortable. New identity, if you'd like. No more questions. No more digging. I leaned back. You're not here to protect Douglas Harper. No, he said. Douglas was a liability. He got emotional. Impulsive. That's not our style. Then who the hell are you? He finally looked me in the eye. The people who built Avora. The people your brother worked for. The people who made sure you stayed asleep. Not because of who you were, but because of what you had. I clenched my fists. What I had. He nodded. You designed a compression algorithm. Years ago. You were going to open source it, remember? I froze. How do you? It would have disrupted cloud storage worldwide. Undercut trillions in infrastructure. Your tech wasn't just clever, Mr. Doyle, it was dangerous. My throat went dry. He leaned in. We couldn't let you destabilize that market. So yes, we used Harper. And yes, we used your family. But the goal was always the same. Suppress the threat. I stared at the check. You drugged me for 9 years, over a file? He smirked. Information is the most dangerous weapon in the world. I closed the folder. Tell your bosses to shove their check. His expression didn't change. Think carefully. You're free to walk out of here. But if you do, this won't end. I'm counting on that. He stood. Stubborn, he said. No wonder Harper couldn't break you. Then he was gone. They let me go. No charges. No record. No apology. Alyssa met me outside. She didn't speak. Just handed me an envelope. Inside was a flash drive. My father kept a backup, she said softly. All your work. Your old prototype. I don't know what it is, but it's yours. I looked at her. Not like a lover. Not even like a stranger. Like a grave. A monument to the life I'd almost had. Why didn't you come back for me? I asked. She shook her head. I wanted to. But every time I tried, he'd tell me it was better this way. That you were in pain. That you were suffering. And I believed him. You married him. No, she said. He forced it. Legally, it looked clean. But it was control. Guilt. Pressure. And the boy. She hesitated. He's mine. But not his. My heart stopped. What? She looked down. Jamie. The world tilted again. I staggered back. She tried to touch my arm. I pulled away. He said it was a mistake, she whispered. One night. Right after, everything fell apart. I didn't know until later. And by then, you were already gone. I stared at the sidewalk. At my reflection in the glass of a nearby car. And I didn't recognize the man looking back. I took the drive. Turned and walked away. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't need to. Rich picked me up at the edge of town. No questions. He just drove. We reached the safe house by morning. I plugged the flash drive into the laptop. And there it was. My code. Intact. Untouched. Alive. Just like me. And now? Now I know why they came for me. Now I know what they feared. Not me. Not the man. Not the love. But the idea. What I made. What it could do. What it still can do. I don't want revenge. I want exposure. And with this, I'm going to bring their whole world crashing down. Because the real story isn't that I woke up. It's that they didn't kill me when they had the chance. And now? Now I'm going to show the world everything. The first thing I did was encrypt the drive. Not because I didn't trust Rich. I did. But because this wasn't just code. It was leverage. And leverage attracts predators. I split the files into 3 parts, like carving up a crown jewel, then uploaded each to separate private servers in countries with no data extradition laws. I wrote a dead man's switch. If I didn't ping the servers every 48 hours, they'd unlock. Not to the public. Not yet. But to journalists, cryptographers, whistleblowers, people who would notice, people who couldn't be bought. By the 3rd day, I was being watched. No more black coats or empty threats. Now it was subtle. A car parked 2 blocks down. Same guy at the diner 3 days in a row. An Amazon package I never ordered showing up at the safe house door. They weren't trying to be invisible. They were trying to remind me I wasn't. I didn't sleep much. Didn't eat much either. But I worked. Like a man on fire. Because I wasn't just exposing them for what they did to me. I was going to unravel the system that let them do it in the first place. And that started with Jamie. I traced the payments again. Rebuilt the paper trail they tried to erase. 6 shell companies. 3 foreign accounts. And 1 offshore trust fund registered in his name. He didn't just sell me out. He got rich doing it. I sent him an email from a burner. Subject, wake up. Message, you stole 9 years. I'm taking the rest. N. No response. But within an hour, 2 of the offshore accounts froze. That was enough. He was scared. Good. Next, I went after Penner. He'd resurfaced in Arizona under a new name. Still practicing. Still drugging patients for cash, if the rumors were true. I made a call to the state board. Then I made 10 more. I sent the medical records Alex gave me to every malpractice lawyer in 3 states. Within a week, his license was suspended. Within 2, he disappeared again. Let him run. He'd never outrun me. But the real target was still Avora. I found pieces of them everywhere. On board seats, in lobbyist filings, in backroom donations no one ever connected. They weren't just a company. They were a network. Built to suppress. To silence. To erase. And they'd done it to more than just me. One night, deep in the forums of whistleblower networks, I found a woman named Marlene. Former data engineer. Said her fiancé fell from a parking garage 2 weeks after they threatened to leak classified storage protocols. His body was ruled a suicide. But his laptop? Vanished. She was scared. Broken. But when I told her my story, she didn't just believe me. She joined me. We became a team. Marlene decrypted the deeper layers of my algorithm, added new redundancies, made it stronger. Together, we rebuilt it. Not just as tech, as evidence. Proof of what they tried to bury. Proof that people like me, like us, weren't ghosts. Then the first leak dropped. Not the code. Not yet. But a dossier. Every wire transfer between Douglas Harper and Jamie Doyle. Every asset change. Every bribe. We didn't post it ourselves. We sent it to everyone else. Anonymous inboxes. Journalists. Activists. It was an avalanche in a digital age. And Avora? They couldn't stop it. Their stocks plummeted. Their board scrambled. Then the names started coming out. CEOs. Politicians. Judges. All tied to silencing voices like mine. They tried to call it misinformation. But the money trails didn't lie. And then, I dropped the hammer. The final video. A pre-recorded confession. Just my face. Raw. Tired. Honest. I told the world everything. The wedding. The coma. The sedatives. The betrayal. And the comeback. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. I just told the truth. Then I ended with one line. You buried me alive. And I came back to burn the lie down. The video went viral. Not because I wanted fame, but because the truth still matters. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being the victim. I became the spark. They came for me after that. Hard. Lawyers. Threats. Fake stories about my mental state. But it was too late. The world had seen the receipts. The silence was broken. And the ghosts were screaming. Alyssa tried to reach out again. She sent me a letter. Said she didn't want forgiveness, just to say she was sorry. Said her son asked about me. I never responded. Not out of spite, but because some scars can't be spoken through, only lived through. I don't know what happens next. Maybe they'll find me. Maybe I'll disappear again. But the story? It's out now. And the machine that tried to erase me? It's crumbling. Sometimes I still dream of that hospital bed. The beeping, the silence, the ceiling tiles, and the rage. But now, when I wake up, I don't feel helpless. I feel free. Because they thought I'd stay silent. But I learned something in the dark. When they take everything from you, there's nothing left to lose. And when a man has nothing left to lose, he becomes truth on fire. I didn't set out to become a symbol. I just wanted my life back. But the moment I told the truth, the whole truth, people saw themselves in the wreckage, in the betrayal, in the silencing. And it spread, not like a story, like a signal. I stayed underground, moved every week. Different states, different aliases. Sometimes I was a handyman, sometimes just a name on a guest list at a hacker con. But I kept leaking, one file at a time, one name, one transaction, one buried piece of evidence that proved the rot was deeper than anyone thought. And they kept trying to stop me, freezing accounts, sending goons, launching smear campaigns. They even tried to pin a data breach on me in Berlin, one I had nothing to do with. But it didn't matter, because every time they attacked, the internet defended me. They called me a whistleblower, a ghost, a digital Robin Hood. But I wasn't any of those things. I was just a man who refused to stay dead. One night, I met a guy named Kilo. Obviously not his real name, but in the right corners of the internet, Kilo was a legend. He'd taken down 3 offshore banks, cracked the Pentagon's internal API when he was 17. He looked at me and said, "You're the guy with the Coma story." I nodded. He grinned. "I've been waiting for you." With Kilo and Marlene, things changed. We weren't just reacting anymore. We were building something. A map of the system, not just Evora, but all the shells connected to it. Political arms, private security firms, shady medical research centers. And in the middle of it all, a black budget program called Citron Protocol. No public record. But deep in the code, we found it. A line that chilled me. Subject number 016, status, suspended. Assets seized. Termination pending review. I was number 016. There were 15 before me, and no mention of them ever waking up. That's when I realized this wasn't about me anymore. It never was. They'd done this before. They'd do it again, unless someone made it impossible. We hacked the failsafe, not to destroy it, to expose it. We traced the funding, the names, the files, and we dumped it. All of it. A torrent so big it took down 4 government servers in 12 hours. Twitter lit up. Newsrooms exploded. Whistleblowers came out of the woodwork. Survivors, families who'd been told their loved ones died peacefully after irreversible trauma. But now they knew better. Because of me. Because I woke up. Because I fought back. That week, the director of the Citron Protocol was found dead in his home. Suicide, they claimed. Same line they used for all the others. But I'd seen the documents. He wasn't scared of prison. He was scared of exposure. Because people like him thrive in the shadows. And I had just dragged their secrets into the light. Eventually, the offers came. TV interviews, books, even a movie deal. I turned them all down. Not because I was humble. Because I wasn't done. You can't sell the truth before you finish telling it. I found Jamie. He was hiding in Costa Rica under a fake name, living in a villa, drinking top-shelf liquor on stolen blood. I didn't bring cameras. Didn't call the press. I just sat across from him at the bar. He dropped his glass. "Nate." I said nothing. He looked 10 years older than me. 10 years guiltier. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," he whispered. I nodded. "I know." He started to cry. I didn't stop him. Then I leaned in and said the last words he ever heard from me. "You don't get to ask for forgiveness until you turn yourself in." And then I walked away. He turned himself in 2 days later. They say guilt did it. They're wrong. It was truth. Now I'm just drifting, watching the world adjust to the cracks I opened. Some days I think about going back to a normal life, changing my name, opening a quiet repair shop somewhere on the coast. But then I hear about someone else being silenced, about a journalist who vanished, about a company quietly acquiring hospital networks again. And I remember, this isn't over. Because the thing about evil, it doesn't die, it adapts. But now so do I. I didn't survive the coma. I was reborn in it. And now, I'm not just a man. I'm a warning. To every hand that thinks it can rewrite fate. To every puppet master pulling strings from the dark. I'm still here. Still watching. Still burning. And if they ever come for me again, they better remember. You can't kill the truth. Not when it's learned how to fight. The rain hasn't stopped for hours. I sit on the rooftop of a building no one knows I use, in a city no one expects me to be in, with a laptop that's wiped itself clean 5 times this week. Below, the world moves on. Faces lit by phones, lost in headlines they don't realize I wrote with blood. And I think about who I was before it all started. Nathan Doyle. Engineer. Fiancé. Brother. Son. Then a name on a hospital chart. Then a ghost. Now I'm something else. They tried to write my ending. A car crash. A coma. A quiet plug pulled in a back room while the world forgot I existed. But I didn't die. I listened. For 9 years, I heard every lie they told in my absence. Every signature forged with my name. Every tearless eulogy whispered in the halls I built. And now, I've written my own ending. No, not an ending. A warning. There are others like me. Some still trapped in beds, buried in drugs. Some trapped in jobs, in systems, in silence they didn't ask for. Some are just beginning to realize they've been played. But they'll hear me. They already are. Because the truth once spoke in echoes. I haven't released the full code yet. The compression algorithm that started this war. But it's ready. More than ready. And if the wrong hands keep building walls with stolen blueprints and poison contracts, if they keep burying people like me, I'll release it. Not to destroy their world, but to reset it. To remind them that no matter how high they climb, no matter how many lives they erase, all it takes is one man to wake up and burn their empire from the inside out. I think about Alyssa sometimes. What we could have been. Who we were. But that version of me, the man who believed in happy endings and wedding vows, he never left the hospital. The man who came back, he doesn't chase closure. He creates consequences. The world sees a ghost now. A name that vanished, then came back with fire behind his eyes. They don't know where I'll show up next. What I'll expose next. What I'll uncover. But that's the point. I don't need to be seen. Just heard. Just felt. So if you're watching this, if this video survived the censors, the spin, the smear jobs, if my story made it to your screen, in your language, on your time, then know this. They failed. They failed to kill me. They failed to silence me. They failed to stop the truth. And I promise you, I'm not the last one. There are others. Waking up. Fighting back. Whispers in hospital beds. Clicking keys in the dark. Eyes staring back through surveillance glass. And when the fire spreads, when the system trembles again, you'll know, I was the match. Because I didn't just survive. I didn't just speak. I remembered. Every second. Every face. Every betrayal. And now I make sure they never forget me. Because my name isn't Nathan Doyle anymore. My name is Consequence.